Hello. Thank you for considering being part of this study. I'm Christina Heffernan, and I'm one of the co-founders of Assistance. In this video, I'm going to show you what a 7th grade teacher participating in this study is committing to do. To begin, it starts with that teacher's textbook. So in this example, I'm going to use the Big Ideas math textbook, but it could be any textbook or any worksheets, common assessments, whatever the content the teacher gives for homework already. Then the teacher will get an Assistance account that looks like this and click on Content to Assign, Assessment Certified, Mathematics, Textbooks, and find their textbook on the list. We're going to do Big Ideas, the Green Book, and for this example, we'll do Chapter 2, 2.4, Adding and Subtracting Decimals. They then would click on View Problems, and this will bring up all the problems as they've been entered into Assessments. Now notice, in the book, it looks like this, 2.4, but in Assessments, we only refer to the page number and the problem number because this is copyrighted material. So the teacher would then look at the book and see what they want to assign for homework that night. For this example, I'm going to do problem 5, 7, and then 23, 27, and 29. The teacher, once they've selected the items they want to give to their students for homework, they create a new problem set, name it in a way that makes sense for them and their students. I'll just call it demo. And then that will submit it, and it's now created. Then they go to problem sets I've built and assign that problem set to their students. So when I go back to my Teacher tab and look at my list of assignments, I will see that assignment. Now I'm going to move to a student account so you can see what it looks like from the student's perspective. This is a student's account. We have to refresh the screen because we just assigned a new assignment. The student then would open their book to section 2.4, click on the assignment, and pull out a piece of paper. Of course, if you take a look at these problems, number 5 is adding 2 decimals. They would need to solve this on a piece of paper. So the student would solve the problem and then put the answer in. Now, of course, the student could get it right. And then when they enter in Assessments, they'll get a green check and it'll be marked as correct. Then they go to the next problem. Now, another possibility for a response is that a student gets it wrong on the first try. Notice the partial credit is decreased. And then they are now triggered to go back and see what they did wrong, fix it, and they might get it right on the second try. In this case, they would then get a green X. I'm going to go to the next problem. Another thing that could happen is that the students would try and then try again and try again and exhaust all of their partial credit and then finally then get it correct. In this instance, they get a red X because the partial credit has been exhausted. This problem is a little different. It's an open response. If I scroll down and look at the page, we notice what it says. It says, when is the sum of 2 decimals equal to a whole number? When is the difference of 2 decimals equal to a whole number? So this is sort of more of an understanding type question, and the students would have to type their response. So they would type that in. They can use editors and put math type in as well, use color, upload a picture if they'd like, but this is what we call an open response. This does not get graded, so the student gets a blue dot when they submit that. Finally, what happens if a student tries and still cannot get the answer by themselves, and they cannot figure out what goes in there? They can click on Show Answer. When they do click on Show Answer, however, they still need to copy the answer and type it in, because otherwise they cannot go on to the next problem. But it is marked not just with a red X, but a red X with a yellow background. And this will show up on the teacher's report as well. When they get to the end of the problem set, they can view their report and see together how well they did. They can also compare their percent correct to the class, seeing whether the problems they got wrong were also hard for their classmates. So that's the feedback that the students get. Now we're going to go back to the teacher account and we'll refresh the screen. Notice we have nobody started, but then after I refresh and click on assignments, we see that we have one student complete. That's the one student who just did it. Then the teacher can click on a report and sees a report that shows exactly what that student did. Percent correct for each item, and then the green check, the green X, the red X, the yellow background, and these are ungraded. So this is what the report looks like. Now this report's not very interesting, it's just one student. So I have a teacher who is given this exact homework assignment. Well, this teacher chose many more problems than we did. So I'm going to move over to that teacher's account. So this is this teacher's account. When I click on assignments, we'll see that there's assignments up until many days. This is actually their homework from last year. That's why there's 79 assignments. That's a full year worth of assignments. This one here is this year's. They're only up to 16. It's just October right now as I'm making this video. So this is 2.4, and then I can click on the report. The report has been set up to open anonymously, so the students' names don't show. The teacher, of course, can unanonymize it, and the students will be alphabetized so they can see how well each student does and actually look at the grades. But this is very helpful just to see how well the class is doing. The average is 76%. The teacher goes across. This teacher assigned, if we look at the page in the book, the first problem is number 1. As they hover over the problem ID from assessments, they can see what's written inside the problem. These two were open response questions about why it's helpful to estimate, things like that. But the third question is problem 5, the one we did. And notice only 73% of the students got it right. And a whopping 57%, over half the students who got it wrong, said 3.991. And if we look at the problem, that's what happened. That's what you get when you subtract instead of add. So it's a simple mistake. The teacher can go over it. They can scroll down and see who actually had to click on the answer. Where's those yellow? The yellow shows they clicked on the answer. They can continue across the next problem. Almost everyone got right. And then going on, there's only 66% of number 13 were correct. The teacher can have a conversation with the class. Why did number 13 give you trouble? And so on. Going across, we have another common wrong answer here for number 23. 46%, that's 46% of over half the students. So a quarter of the students said 35.908. When you look at the book and then we can see what number that was, number 25, this one had a mix of subtraction and addition. If you add all those numbers up, I believe you get this answer, 35.908. So they were all just adding. And so the students weren't completely lost. They were just making some errors. Another thing that I noticed in this last one I thought was interesting, it's the only story problem other than the open response questions. And if you scroll down, this student, because there's no number written here, this student actually just requested the answer as their very first action. The teacher can see on the report the very first action. And so if you scroll down, there's actually quite a bit of answer requested as the very first action, which to me sort of indicates that students are seeing words and saying, I can't do this. It's up to the teacher at this point to do what the teacher got into teaching to do, which is react to what the students are learning or not learning. And that's what's so exciting about these reports. One last thing that teachers like to do with these reports is actually just present them to the students. So I'm just going to quickly remind us what homework looks like without assistance by playing this video. This video is of a teacher doing a homework review, that first 10 minutes of class, without having assistants to help.
We got your homework from last night. Here are the answers.
So she's just putting the answers up on the board.
Come up closer.
And the students have to it takes about 2 minutes before anything interesting happens in this video. It's not until, see, she's still waiting, and she finally gets maybe one question around the 2-minute mark. So that's what we're traditionally are used to for homework review. But with the report, things can look like this. And I'll show you what her homework review looks like when she has an assessments report.
Go over your homework from last night if you want to get out your sheets. A couple questions I noticed we did pretty poorly on. First question we're going to look at is this one here. 3 to the negative second times 3 to the negative 8. Common wrong answer was 1 over 9 to the 10.
So she's able to hone in directly to common wrong answers, talk about what went wrong, and move on into her lesson. So to review, if you decide to participate in this study, the 7th grade teachers won't have to change what they're doing for their lessons. They don't even have to change the content that they're assigning for homework. What they have to do is do their homework in assessments. Students will have to access that input, and the teachers will look at the data. Another last thing, I guess it's my second last thing, is that we not only have textbook problems, we also have open source books. So if I go to Content to Assign and Assessment Certified in Mathematics, you'll also see open source textbooks. So if you're using an open source textbook like Engage New York, Utah Math, then with these ones, we don't have to reference the page numbers. We can actually put all of those problems into assessments. So if I click on View Problems for this open source book, we'll see the actual questions from the textbook, and these would be assigned. The teacher still selects them, but the students don't have to do that back and forth referencing. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it made clear what the commitment is for 7th grade teachers in this study. Thank you.